Hi guys, I'm live. I'm in a very philosophical mood, and I want to discuss a theory that I've been working on, but a lot of people probably are too, but yet no one really talks about it much. And I've made some steps in understanding it, and I'd like to discuss it. It's the relationship and similarities and differences between color theory and music theory. I just like to talk about it. It's on my mind. So I just like to talk about it. Okay, in color theory and in music theory, there's two concepts within each one. There's chrome and tone. In color, chrome is color, like red, yellow, blue, what color it is. And interestingly, there's the 12 tone, the 12 color, 12 color wheel. There's the wheel of 12 colors. It's just called the color wheel. Like, let's say red is at top, blue is at 4 o'clock, which would and yellow is at 8 o'clock, and then that would mean that green would be at 6 o'clock, purple would be at 2 o'clock, and orange would be at 10 o'clock. And again, red is 12 o'clock or top of the wheel. And interestingly enough, in music theory, we have something called the chromatic scale. Note the phrase chrome in there. And it also has 12, not colors, but 12 notes. And the way I look at it is that the note C is red. C is at 12 o'clock. That would mean that E would be, to me, E would be blue, and A flat would be yellow. Like the color triangle, like a augmented triad would be the three primary colors on the color wheel corresponding to that. And then the secondary colors on the color wheel would be the opposite augmented triad in the chromatic scale. So D would be orange. I mean, no, D would be purple. Yes, because it's the opposite of yellow, and yellow is A flat. And so the tritone relationship is complementary colors in the color wheel. Let's see, F sharp would be green because it's the complementary color to red, and it's a tritone away from C. And then B flat would be orange because it's a tritone away from blue, and blue is 4 o'clock, and orange is 10 o'clock. I think that's interesting. And then in the in-between colors, the other 6 colors would be in between the primary and secondary colors, or the whole tone scale, C whole tone scale. And those would be the in-between colors, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, greens, etc. Combinations of in between primary and secondary colors that are next to each other, and then in between is the combination, and there's 6 of those, making a 12 color wheel. And then we have a 12 note chromatic scale in music. I think that's interesting, but it doesn't stop there. Bet you wish it did. No, there's also tone, the concept of tone. In color theory, tone is how light and dark a certain color is. Like if you say red, that's the chrome. But is it light red, dark red, medium red? Do you add white, black, gray? Is it a tint, tone, or shade? You know, the shades of gray of a color. And we don't think about that as much in color. We care more about that's red, and we don't care as much about is it light red, dark red. But in music, it's the opposite. We have tone in music called tonal scales. Note the phrase tone. Tonal scales are relative pitches. We don't care in music. We don't care as much about the absolute pitch. We care about the relationship of the pitches, the relative pitch, as opposed to when in color we care more about the absolute color than we do. Is that a light red? Is it a pink? Is it a dark red? We don't care as much. But in music, tone is the game. If I say I'm in the key of C, which would be red in the color, at least how I look at it, it's not, so that's not as important as are you in C major, are you in C minor, are you in C Dorian, are you in C Lydian, are you in C mixed. It's the relative, it's the tonal scales, not the word tonal scales, like tonal music. We care more about the fact that whether it's a major scale, a harmonic minor scale, a Dorian mode, etc., than we do whether it's F sharp, G, D, or whatever. So there's similarities with color theory and music theory, but there's also stark differences. When in color, we care more about the absolute. We want to know if it's red, yellow, pink, green, orange, blue. But in music, we don't care as much about, is it in C? We care about, is it a major key? Is it a harmonic minor scale going on there? Is that a Phrygian mode? So I think it's interesting. Sorry about that, guy. We have the relative and absolute in both cases, tone and chrome, but in color, in theory, we're more interested in the absolute or the chrome, whereas in music theory, we're more interested in the relative or the tone. I think that's interesting. I think that it's not an accident to me that it's called the chromatic scale when you're talking about 12 tones, all 12 tones, and it's a tonal scale when you talk about a set of those in a certain key. And that in color theory, you have the chromatic, you have the chrome, which is what chrome literally means color. And then tone is the shade and tint and tone, the relative color in color theory. And a couple of comments here. People, the reason why having perfect pitch isn't a good thing necessarily, maybe it's even a bad thing in music, is because it's usually people with perfect pitch can tell absolute tone, but they don't have any other talent. That's their whole talent. And if often the fact that they can know each tone perfectly actually gets in the way of relative pitch for them, because they're overwhelmed with all the pitches, and really that's not where the musical talent is. The musical talent is in those that have relative pitch, and having perfect pitch or absolute pitch can actually mess all that up. And not only that, often it's the only talent you have, in which you have only like 1 in 5,000 people have perfect pitch, and it's almost a bad thing. But there's that, and then another comment. One more comment here. And then of course, there's people that are tone deaf and colorblind, meaning that tone deaf people can't tell sounds apart, and colorblind people can't tell colors apart. But I just wanted to I just want to add one more thing, if I could think of what the thing was here. No, it's slipping my mind here, maybe. Anyway, interestingly enough, though, that I think that's an interesting theory. I just commented on Quora. I subscribe to Quora, and I just commented on this color theory versus music theory thing, and I just thought I should do a video about it. So, interestingly, I'll do an anecdote. This is from my own life. My dad, my adoptive dad, who came home when he wouldn't let me have a guitar when I was 13. He wouldn't give me one. So I built a drum set, and this is funny because David Lee Roth, you were, I'm trying to remember the concert it was. I think it was with Steve Vai. It was when it was on the Eat 'Em and Smile tour in 1986. And you said there was a boy named Raymond. You called him Raymond. This is what city were you in? I don't think it was Toronto. I think it was because that was 1988. I think it was. I'll have to remember that. That Raymond made a little tire, like a little tire rim, and he took out the sticks and started drumming. And all the neighborhood boys and people and friends and everything would say, "Raymond, that sounds like shit." But Raymond was a rocker in his heart, and he just knew he had to rock like this. And that really told a story about me. I'm not Raymond, of course, but when I was 13, my dad wouldn't get me a guitar, so I built a drum set out of trash. I used oatmeal cartons for the drums. I used pie pans for cymbals. I used coat hangers, wire coat hangers, to hold them all the pieces up of the drum set. And I took kite sticks and broke them in two and used those for the drumsticks. And I had a little cassette player, mono cassette player, probably playing Rush or something. And Rush was my favorite band when I was 13. Trying to drum to Neil Peart. And my dad came home, adoptive dad came home from work in his souped up Vega, because he was a really good mechanic as a hobby. He came home and said, "Jim, you have no rhythm and you'll never be a musician." And all I remember after that is I never remember playing the drum set again. I must have tore it up, but I never played it again. It hurt, it wounded me. I later found out that my dad is tone deaf. But that doesn't mean he doesn't have rhythm, but that, you know, it still makes him not the most reliable musical source, perhaps. But I really liked your story, David Roth, that you talked about Raymond, because I still was a rocker in my heart. It didn't crush my musical dream altogether. I just came back, and 2 years later, he finally got me a guitar, and I started rocking out on a guitar. And might have chosen singing, but I didn't think I had a good voice. And my dad had said I had no rhythm, so drums were kind of a sore spot. So I picked guitar, and I started playing. So thanks again, Mick Mars, for calling me last night. I will do Knock 'em Dead Kid when I get a chance. I look forward to going live with you to do Wild Side. And also going to brush up on Wild Side. And David Lee Roth, I thank you for, you know, having Mick call me and hoping, you know, making sure I was okay, and, you know, like a wellness check. You know, I have been going through a bunch of junk. I'm getting better. Fum Fui Fuido is working with me, and I know if it goes south for me, I can always talk to him. Plus, I'm doing good. Fum wanted me to have a perfect day yesterday, and I pretty much did. Mick Mars called me, and what do you expect? I mean, I had a really good day. I had a perfect day. Thank you, Fum Fui Full. Fum Fi Fuido. Okay, sorry. Fum Fi Fuido. And to my David Lee Roth family, I love you, David. I love you, I love you, Terrence Montgomery. I love you, little Alex, and I love you, Johnny Blue Eyes. I love you, Fum Fi Fuido. Love you guys. Peace, rock and roll.